It's a journey with an uncertain end, and it's eagerly awaited. Although in some ways, it's a defeat. Today, Mohammed Farooq is giving up on everything that he and his village spent years working towards. His escape from Pakistan and the hope of a better life in Europe.
I'm just happy to be going back home. I want to see my family again. I don't have a future here in Greece. They don't treat us like human beings. It has to be better in Pakistan.
50 immigrants are returning to Pakistan today. They're going back home to one of the world's most dangerous regions. The Greek government says they're taking part in a voluntary scheme. With EU sponsorship, it's provided the refugees with a ticket home and paid them €300 each to leave. But Mohammed Farooq doesn't feel like he has a choice. He sees this as his only way out.
Greece wants to be rid of us. They want to keep the jobs for themselves. They've become real racists, and they want us to go.
Mohammed Farooq had thought that Athens would be his gateway to the European Union. But the dream didn't last long. We join him for his last 2 days in Greece. He now knows that asylum seekers here receive no help from the state. And processing the application can take years. That leaves a lot of refugees with no documentation. Mohammed AKIBER waited for 5 years for an answer to his application. He'd fled Afghanistan to escape the Taliban militias. This is how he's been living in Greece, sharing cramped quarters with 3 others, with no windows. He was offered no money, accommodation, or work permit. Now all he wants to do is go back home.
The people back home are expecting me to return a rich man. I borrowed money to escape, but I can't pay it back. Back then I fled from the Taliban. Now I'll have to explain that. I'm frightened for my life.
The Afghan refugee has a life here, but not much of one. He's had to rely on his friends, but they don't have much either. Instant coffee is the main staple, and they only get to eat on a good day. Their only source of income was from working off the books, until the economic crisis hit. Now they've been replaced by Greeks. There's nothing left for the refugees. Hundreds of them come to the International Organization for Migration, the IOM, every day. It's running the government program for those returning home. Here we met up again with Mohammed Farooq and his co-travelers. They were given the information about their flight and had their documents checked again. In the past year, over 6,000 people have left the country under the scheme. It's cost Greece and the EU €10 million. The IOM officials know that many of the immigrants fear for their safety. But the head of the mission says he wants to send a message about the harsh realities of migration.
To have an awareness campaign in the countries of origin and show them real images of what is going on here. The dead bodies that they get from Evros, the people that they live 50 in one room, the others that they are homeless, all these bad things that are happening, so they will know that this is not a game.
Mohammed AKIBER has received the message loud and clear. He's on the floor below registering for a return flight, although he's not optimistic about his prospects.
My dream is to have a small clothing store, but I have no money.
It's time to leave, even though his asylum application would have had good chances under normal circumstances. Daniel Estras acknowledges this.
We do have a representative of UNHCR the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Why? We want to make it sure that even last minute they know their rights and they know that there's a chance that they could get asylum if they would apply. But what we see is that once they are decided and determined to go back, they never get back. I mean, they will never do that.
Instead, Mohammed AKIBER is officially retracting his asylum application. That means waiting around for hours outside the police station. This man from Pakistan is also waiting for permission to leave the country. He dares to say what many are thinking.
I think here is law is not giving the protection the people. That's why everybody is crying. When you go, is not care the police and also the other one see you and go straight. It's not caring. The people is have trouble. That's why.
Mohammed Farooq visits the center of Athens the day before his flight home. For the first time in a long while, he doesn't feel afraid.
I was always afraid of the police. Now I carry my bag from the International Organization for Migration everywhere I go. It's better than any passport. It protects me.
He spends the last of his money on souvenirs for his family in Pakistan. Sweets and chocolate to give them at least a taste of Europe. Mohammed AKIBER has often come to this spot over the past years to think about his homeland. He's waiting until he can return to Afghanistan, and he has no intention of ever coming back.